Hello, everybody. Welcome to the On Call Coaches Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of amateur player development, private skills coaching, and video training. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, creating a weekly plan for success in player development, Coach.
Love it.
And I'm going to host it over to you. Sorry, this is my coach, or my assistant. This is my co-host, Coach Zane.
Now, how's it going, everybody?
Oh, sorry about that, Coach. So I'm going to pose the question to you, and I'm going to give you a real-world example, and I want to see what you think a plan to attack the week to get everything you need done. So specific player, he'll have 3 practices a week, 2 games, a workout or 2, maybe 3, school, homework, eating right, private lessons, a little video work, sleep, and he still should be a kid or she.
Yeah, that is a busy schedule. Sounds like that's probably somebody who is high school age, appropriate wise, maybe a little bit younger if they're playing, AAA high level hockey.
Central States now, yeah.
Yeah, good point. That's definitely a grind, and the recovery time is what I find is super, super important. A lot of kids, get halfway through the season and they've got some injuries or nagging problems just because of overuse, and really watching that, and also knowing when to shut it down. You might need a week break. You might need to take a little bit of time away from some of those things. And as a coach for teams at that level, you also have to recognize that with your players. But when you're managing that as a player, it's definitely setting a schedule, working that schedule, and planning. I can't say that enough to kids, that all right, what do we have going on the next 3 days? You can't just look one day ahead. You've got to be more mature than your age is there when it comes to just planning for what's coming up. Yeah. How do I take care of my body? We talked about it a couple episodes ago about being honest, and that's another thing of being honest where you are at, fitness-wise, form-wise, and making sure that you take care of yourself, and you're open with your coaches, and you're, not just your team coach, but your private skills coach, where they come in and they say, hey, I've got this, wrist injury that's kind of nagging me. Cool, we're not going to do 100 snapshots today. We're going to do something that's more footwork-based or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So being honest with your coaches, because they don't know that. If they're your private skills coach, they may not know that you took a hard slash in the game and you've got this wrist that's bothering you a little bit.
Or a football player broke my finger. I can't catch 100 passes.
100%, yeah.
It's killing me.
So, and also, the more you can communicate that early on, the better too.
Yeah.
That's a text message to that coach. Hey, by the way, I took this hit or whatever it may be, or a slide tackle in soccer, and my ankle's bothering me. Can we do something a little bit different where we're not pressing that as hard and things like that? So,
how far out do you think a player should look?
When I was playing, it was definitely 3 to 5 days out of what's coming up, especially when there's travel involved.
Yeah.
There's a lot of planning there, because you're not just moving yourself to another ice rink, you're moving your life there for a couple days. So it's planning and packing and everything else that goes along with it. When am I going to get my breaks to get schoolwork in?
Yeah.
You can't let that go, or else you won't be playing sports anymore, because you got to take care of school first and make sure you're doing that.
Well, and I think if you take a bigger look over the full 5-7 days, 3-5-7 days, you don't get so overwhelmed and am I going to be able to get all my workout in today? You can look at a 7-day and say, I'll get 4 workouts in this week, not 7. Or, I'll pre-plan my meals because I got 5 busy nights this week. I think you can do a lot more pre-work if you look out a little ahead and really start dialing it in that way.
Well, I think it also helps you say no to the distractions that would take you away from that plan.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm busy. I got to get this done today.
I have to get this homework done because tomorrow I'm catching the bus at 7 a.m. We're going to Chicago for a tournament. I can get a little bit of work done there, but let's be realistic. When you get into those tournament situations, there's not a lot of downtime. You're trying to take care of yourself, get fuel in your body, in between games, rest. So making sure that you make the right decisions in those days leading up to make you successful, so you can focus on your sport during that time.
When do you think it becomes more player responsibility than parent responsibility? At what age do you start making that switch, do you think?
I think it's player by player of the maturity level of the player. Obviously, as a parent, you don't want your kid to fail. Mm-hmm. But it does come to a certain age where you got to let them stumble a little bit too. You got to let them figure it out that they may make a bad decision, but the bad decision of not doing their homework at the right time one time is not a catastrophic failure. They make the wrong decision in later in life in college and go to that party and then can't wake up for the game the next morning, that's a much bigger mistake to be made. So learning some of those life lessons and letting your kid stumble in sports and in life, as long as it's not something that's really going to affect them long term, I think is an important learning and growth. And everybody hits that age. The parents know the best. They know their kids of when that correct age is. But somewhere in their low teenage years is when I would say, hey, to my kid, like, you got homework to do. Like, is it done?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like, and I asked it. Then I'm gonna let you stumble once, and after that, then it's a learning lesson and a life lesson.
I like it. Well, that brings me up to my next guest today, Coach. He has a wealth of experience in player development from both sides of the bench as a player and a coach. He is a true product of St. Louis hockey. Started his career AAA Blues here in hometown St. Louis. Made his name for himself at Hazelwood West High School. After an impressive senior year, he went on to play at Lindenwood University for their ACHA program, where he racked up 48 points in 112 games. He later transitioned into coaching, including time as a head coach at Francis Howell High School. He also worked as a private skills coach for Zane and myself. Now he focuses his efforts on nonprofit work as a donor engagement specialist, and he's also building an impressive TikTok following. I'm thrilled to welcome our next guest, Mr. Adam Saito. How are we doing, Coach Adam?
What's going on, boys?
Saito, love seeing you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a minute. How you been?
Not bad. How about you guys?
Doing pretty good. Wanted to get your opinion on a few things today, touch base, and I want to start with your original, back when you were a youngster, the AAA hockey. We have a lot of followers who are playing AAA hockey, and I wanted to see, what was it like back then? How many practices a week? How many games? What were they doing off ice when you played? Tell me about your AAA history back then. What was it like being a AAA player back in the day?
For me, it was very interesting. One, it was different because I got cut every other year. So that the first year I could play, made it, and then the next year I got cut, then made it, then got cut. But for me, it was good because Scott Sanderson, who was the coach of that team, he was very upfront. He would tell me exactly why he wasn't going to take me, and that gave me a chance to go back to AA, go back to Valley, go back to Twin Bridges, and really work on things that he was telling me that I needed to work on. And then come back stronger the next year. But when I was in AAA, oh man, if I remember right, I want to say we were practicing probably about 2 or 3 times a week. Then traveling on the weekends if we, obviously if we weren't home. Off ice wise, there really wasn't. It's so long ago. There really wasn't a lot of options. There wasn't much for us to do. So basically, all of our skill development was done on ice.
And did you guys use like a skills coach, or was it more like, as when in my day as well? Like, we didn't really have skill specific coaches. It was more you just picked it up playing in your team game and your team practice.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we didn't have any skills coaches. I was doing skating lessons like on my own on the side.
Yeah.
Like power skating lessons, but that's about it. Like with the club at that time, there really wasn't much that was done. Skill development, like I said, other than on ice. I mean, I felt
it
like
wasn't a skill specific practice like you have now, where Wednesday skills day, where you got 6 stations and you buzz station to station.
It was going home and shooting in the driveway.
Yeah,
that was the skill development side of it. There was taking wrist shots in the driveway,
putting holes in the garage.
That's exactly right. Saito, you went on to play at Lindenwood. You played 112 games, 48 points. We just talked about it in the intro of balancing the work-life balance of playing and enjoying your college time, studying, all of that. How did you do that? How did you manage your time so that you were ready to play hockey? You were very successful there. You're also very successful, studying at Lindenwood.
To be honest, this first couple of years were not very good on me managing time. It wasn't until about my junior year when I really started to take the off-ice stuff more serious. So the school and really prepping for hockey, really prepping for games and practices. To be completely honest, those first couple of years, I was on academic probation
Okay.
midway through the year, because I had a tough time of balancing that student life and hockey life. I went straight out of high school, so I didn't really get that. Most of my teammates played juniors for at least a year or two. So they kind of got that grind of a full hockey season like that up until that point. I mean, the most hockey that I played was just between AAA and high school. But yeah, to be honest, yeah, I struggled with it a little bit, but then junior year, senior year is when I really kind of figured it out, and really started putting more of a priority on my education, mostly because, I realized from there it wasn't going to go professional, or it wasn't going to go anywhere after that. So that's when it became more serious that, all right, I need to focus on this. That way I'm set up for after college.
Now, do you have any advice for the same situation as you, the AAA player looking to make the next level, go on to play the ACHA? Do you have any advice for him? Like, how do you select the right program? How did you choose Lindenwood? How did you go about that path and take this as your journey?
Yeah, so I chose Lindenwood, because at the time there there wasn't too much. I want to say ACHA has gotten way better than it was back when I
Oh,
first
don't beat
started it.
yourself up like that. Come on now, don't be shy.
No. I just mean, like, in terms of, so I had Lindenwood that was interested in me coming and playing, and I had another university that was interested in me coming and playing. The other university, they didn't really offer much. It was a few hours away. But then Lindenwood, at least it was here. My family was here. They helped me find student aid, to help me get there. The other university didn't even offer any assistance like with that. It was just like, we want you to come here and
Figure it out.
potentially play. Yeah. I think they said that they could pay for the books. And I was like, yeah, that's not much.
The books are pricey,
But
though.
yeah, ultimately I chose Lindenwood just because it was brand new program. That first season back in 03-04, it was the first time they had an ice program at the university. And to me, it was just interesting to be a part of that, and, to help grow that program from the ground up.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. I should say, at what point in your playing career at Lindenwood did you know that you wanted to be a coach afterwards, or was that something that you made that decision after you got out of college? Walk us through that transition period from player to coach, and how you handled that.
Oh, even before I was at Lindenwood, I was already coaching. I was helping out with the mini mite team at Valley,
Oh, nice.
coaching.
That didn't make it on your
familiar
hockey
face.
DB.
Yeah, you didn't have that on the DB.
Well, I don't know if Coach Joe's mini mite team is going to be on there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You coached Joe Kavanaugh,
Coach
one of
Joe was
one of our last guests.
Yeah.
You coached him. That's awesome.
Yep. So basically I was just helping out with that program, that team specifically, because it was one of the guys I played AAA with. His mom's, long story short, it was my old assistant, coach for AAA. And then one of my teammates, we were helping because his brother was on that team. And we were basically just the drill demonstrators, or we were the ones on the ice.
You're a demo guy.
The kids. Yeah. Kind of, yeah, we were the on ice. He and I would, like, take turns going on ice and kind of guiding the kids, like, back and forth. Because back then there was no cross ice. They were still doing offsides. There was the horn every 2 minutes to change. Yeah. But no, it was I would say around that time, when I knew I wanted to coach.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to play forever, so the next best thing would be coaching. So yeah, it all started there. And then it took a little bit after graduating college. I started coaching. It was actually House Central. I started coaching the JV team there,
Oh,
and
okay.
then eventually moved up to the varsity team.
Nice, nice. Now, when that's a big difference between mini mite and high school. What's that switch
Oh
look
yeah.
like for you on the coaching side? How do you reach a mini mite and then have to reach and motivate a high school player?
Oh, it's
Because you,
totally different. With the mini mites, you just wanted them to have fun. You just wanted them to enjoy being there. That way they want to come back next season. Um, when I got to high school, I started with the JV team, and it was at the time when I started, it was a relatively big club, and we actually had the varsity team, which had a full squad. We had a JV team, which had a full squad, and we even had a B team, which a lot of my guys on the JV team played on the B team as well. But when I started coaching the JV team, took over that JV team, I would talk with the players and I would tell them, all right, my goal is not necessarily for us to have a lot of wins. My goal is for you guys to be ready for tryouts next year so you are on the varsity team.
like it.
So that's what we spent a lot of time working on. It wasn't so much, it wasn't a lot of, I mean, we did do X's and O's, but it was a lot of, all right, learning the game, kind of learning where to be once they get up to that faster paced varsity team. So,
Yep. Nice.
yeah.
So I saw you were successful at coaching at the high school level. It looked like you made a state run. Did I see that right?
Oh, no big deal. We went to a championship game in the 2 years that I was coaching varsity. Yeah, we went to we went to the Wickenheiser Cup. I want to say we were one of those borderline teams between the Wick Cup and the Blues Challenge Cup. But we were much better suited for the Wickenheiser Cup. And I remember that year knowing that we were probably going to be one of those borderline teams when it came to scheduling teams for that season. I went for CBC, I went for DeSmet, I went for Chaminade, and I was like, I want to play you guys. We'll see how it goes. And I
Yeah.
think Chaminade, we lost all of those games, but CBC, I want to say we lost by like a goal. We were actually, I want to say we were tied with them after the first period. It was a big deal.
That's awesome.
Because it was
That
one
is
of
a
those
big deal.
things like skill wise we did not match up, but
A big win for or a
we
big
prepped.
close game for the team, huh?
Yeah. It was a statement game. Yeah, it was a good
Nice.
statement game. We came out strong. We gave them as much as we could, but in the end, I think we lost by like a goal maybe.
Sweet.
No, that's a really good game. No, that's awesome. After your coaching, you kind of transitioned into not for profit work. What brought on that change, and what lessons did you learn from hockey that you can use in your day to day life now and your work life now with working with not for profits?
Um, so a lot of the life lessons you learn in hockey is a lot of that teamwork. And when you're working for a nonprofit, you're very limited on resources. And,
Mm-hmm.
the one that I was at was much smaller than where I'm at now. So when I started working at that first nonprofit I was at, it was everybody's doing everything. It didn't matter like what your title was or
No
what your
job
position
description. It
was.
was just all hands on deck.
Pretty much. Yeah. But the beauty was that wasn't asked of anybody. It was just somebody would see somebody else working on something. Clearly they needed help. So you're stepping in and you're doing that work with them. Um, but yeah, I would say that team aspect is huge. Working in nonprofit. That's the biggest thing.
Nice, nice. Now, we're friends on the socials on TikTok. You've been building that TikTok following over the last, year and a half, maybe? How's that going for you?
It's fun.
Yeah?
It's just something to do.
I saw
Yeah,
you're getting
it's
into
just
the
it's just
3D
something to
printing.
do. Yeah. Yeah, getting into 3D printing now.
How's that? Yeah, you made a little butt
Thanks
in the
to
other day. I saw that. That was pretty
That
nice.
was
A little
awesome.
custy.
I gotta get you guys some of those. I gotta print some because after I made a video about that, a bunch of people messaged me and they're like, I want one. Can I buy one? And I was like, well, I was just planning on putting it out there for other people to make. But now I think I might try and make them and sell them, but I have no idea like how well they'll hold up in an actual like usage
Well, send me
thing
one. I'll
because all
test it
I've
out
done
for
is
you. I'll let you
painting.
know.
I got two little ones that'll play with it. If the 6 and 8-year-old can't break it, nobody can. They have a way of
Yeah.
breaking a lot of different things. So yeah, definitely have them try it out, and yeah, that's really exciting. Um,
I'll get you guys some so you can battle test them.
perfect. With that, with the new NIL and using social media for the college players, do you have any advice for those current college players that maybe want to take advantage of some of the social media platforms to increase their personal brand or whatever that may be?
Yeah, no, I mean, I wish that was around when I was then granted, I don't know if that would have mattered in the ACHA, but I wish that was around back when I was in college, sort of, I guess. But I mean, I would say do it. Obviously, don't be a dummy about it. Think about what you're posting. Maybe have a an outside source kind of review it before you hit that post button.
Oh, that's smart.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's your personal brand right there. And in other sports, it's a lot easier to get that personal brand out there. In hockey, it's a little tougher. Even the NHL has a tough time promoting the personalities within the league. But with social media and yeah, the NIL, I mean, that's your opportunity to be your own promoter right there.
Yeah. No, that's what I was thinking. And I've been watching your TikTok file and it's growing nicely. It's growing nicely. What advice do you have for, or I guess not what advice, looking back on your playing career, what are you most proud of? What would you say? Or coaching career? We'll throw both of those in there at one time.
Ooh. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, playing wise, I would say I've been very fortunate enough to be a part of the beginning of programs. Like Zane and I were both there at the beginning of STL Elite.
Yep.
We got to see that grow. I don't know if they're still around, but it was nice to see that grow from just like our age group to other age groups. Um,
I
it was
actually
nice
had
to be a
a
part of.
5-minute conversation or 10-minute
What's it?
conversation with John Wensick yesterday. I went to the Blues Warrior golf tournament, and we were going
Yeah.
through all the names from that team. So that's awesome that you brought up STL Elite. But we were going down memory lane there with Coach Wensick and talking about that team. So anyway, continue on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Yeah. Oh no, you're fine. I love Winsick. He will always go down as one of my favorite coaches. Like he was hard on me. There were some times where I didn't even play in some of those games, but looking back, like those were huge life lessons for me. I love like to this day, like I still get so giddy when I see him around the rink. He's massive. His hands are like huge.
He's got some bear
Big
He
paws.
hands.
does,
But
yep.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was just it was nice being able to help build being at the beginning stages of a few programs. But then, coaching wise, um, whenever from a team aspect, whenever I took over that varsity team, it was obviously biggest accomplishment there was getting us to the Wickenheiser Cup.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even know if we really should have made it because we were matched up against again a much more skilled team in the semifinals in Timberland, and we did. You guys talk about video work. We got together. I brought the team together. I had friends who had already played against them, so they sent me video. I had one of my assistants willing to sit down and watch that whole entire game, and then make notes at certain time points on when we should really sit down and talk about like certain players, their power play, their penalty kill, stuff like that, their breakouts. So I would say like coaching the team wise, yeah, that's one of my greatest accomplishments there is like getting the team together and getting prepared for that. Because obviously we beat them in the semifinals and made it to the finals. But yeah, and
Nice.
then being a skills coach, like being a private skills coach, watching when I was with you guys in the facility, watching the players develop, especially those brand new kids,
Isn't that fun?
watching
Yeah, so
how
much
after
fun.
just a few weeks they're able to skate on the treadmill or they're getting the shots off or they're stick handling now. Like I loved seeing that week after week after week.
Definitely rewarding. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So for young players that are listening, what's a piece of advice that you have for them, either from your playing, coaching, or this interview? What's something that you could leave that young player with to help them out on their path?
I would say two things, especially for hockey, but I mean this goes for any sport really. Is one, have really work on that mental preparation. You know, like I said, when I was in college, I kind of struggled those first 2 years. And again, like in my junior years, I started taking mental preparation a lot more serious. I would sit out in the stands or whatever and just kind of envision different situations on the ice. You know, you watch the NHL goalies before a game and they're sitting on the bench. You can just see their eyes like going back and forth and they're just tracking an imaginary game in their head. Um, I think
The
that's
visualization.
huge. And if,
You're a
Yeah.
you know,
big
as soon as
believer
a
in
player can figure that
visualization.
out,
Nice.
what's that?
I said you're a big believer in the visualization.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
But then another thing is also is, you know, be willing to talk with your coaches. Um, if you think you want to do something, talk with them. Ask them, you know, if you're not getting a lot of playing time, ask them how you can earn more playing time. Chances are they're going to give you an answer of, you know, working on a certain individual skill or they're going to tell you maybe focus more in practice. Um, but those are your times to really work on your game and make it to where the coach wants to play you come game time. But those, I would say those two things really work on the mental preparation, the visualization, and you know, be willing to talk with your coaches.
From a coaching standpoint, if a player comes to me and asks what can they do better, one, they'll get the answer from me, but two, I'm watching them closely.
Yeah.
I'm just more engaged. And something for the younger players, it's as simple as putting their name on their helmet. I can't tell you how many times I've been on the ice with little kids. The kid who has their name on their helmet
Big
will,
time.
will get coached 50, 60, 70% more than the kid who doesn't. And I'm only on the ice maybe with them one or two times through St. Louis hockey training, and I just don't know their name.
Yeah.
So I can't scream, "Hey, you," from across the ice. So it's as simple as that. Like for little kids, put their name on their helmet so that the coaches can interact with them. They'll get much more. And then as you get older, interact with your coach, ask those questions. You'll get feedback. You'll also be on their radar. They'll watch you more closely and really help you to progress and reach your goals.
Saito,
Oh
tell
yeah.
me about your nonprofit that you're working for now. What do they do? And yeah, just tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
So now I'm with Independence Center. We are located in Central West End. We provide services for people with a serious or persistent mental illness.
Okay.
We operate on what's called the Clubhouse model. Clubhouse International is, you know, it's an international like way of psychosocial rehabilitation. So our clubhouse, again, it's in Central West End. It's all voluntary, so anybody who's receiving services isn't being made to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is coming there, you know, on their own will.
Yep.
But then within the clubhouse, you know, we have a whole bunch of different areas where staff and our members work side by side, basically to keep the place running. So like we have a copy center, we have orientation where our members will do orientation for incoming members.
Oh, neat.
We have a full
I
kitchen.
was gonna say they
Yeah, we
cook
have a
and
full
everything.
kitchen that. What's that?
I was gonna say, do they cook and everything? Take care of their meals, do their laundry.
Yep. We have, yep. So a lot. a lot of people who are unhoused have some kind of mental illness. So we have washers and dryers and showers that if they just need to come in during the day just to clean up and clean their clothes, they're more than welcome to. But it's a really cool place, and it's not what people usually would think of, if you tell them that you're working at a psychosocial rehabilitation facility. I think the old school thinking is, people immediately go to like padded walls and
Yeah.
whatnot, but it is nothing like that. The best way to really show like how well the model's working is I've been there a little over a year, but I was there for probably 2 or 3 months before I really figured out who was member and who was staff, because everyone's working so closely together and everybody's so open about everything that it's yeah, it's just a great environment to be in. It's awesome.
Do the patients live there or do they go home at night?
So they all go home.
Okay.
They all go home. We do provide, uh, we don't provide, I shouldn't say provide, but we own some apartment complexes where we have some of our members will live. Or we have somebody whose role is to find or and build relationships with landlords around the area. So if a house comes up, we can send that out to all of our members who are looking for a place to live. Um, it's great, but we are working on right now building a. We just did a groundbreaking on it, but building a senior living apartment complex right next to our clubhouse, which will be great for any of our members who live there.
Yeah.
That's
Because
really cool.
just a few yards away, they'll be able to come receive their services, get their medication if they need to get their medication, or even just hit up the gym that's in our clubhouse. So
That donor engagement specialist must be working hard to get that going.
well, I wish, but this is something that was already in the works before I even came on board. Um, so yeah, they've been working on this for a couple of years. I've only been there for about a year and a half. But it's been talked about ever since I started there, and it's cool to see it finally taking off.
Yeah.
Where can people follow your journey and keep up with what you're doing now?
Like me personally, or
Yeah,
like,
with what you got going. I saw your 3D printing and you're following your TikToks and everything. Promote what you want to promote right now.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah,
Call
I
him on
don't. I
guard.
mean, I don't know. I mean,
Alright.
you can follow me on TikTok if you want, but it's just a bunch of nonsense, goofy, fun stuff.
I get a good laugh
People
when
watching it.
I'm
I
always
follow
checking
you
on you.
and
Yeah, like
have a chuckle.
Yeah.
But I would say that, or yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Or
Go ahead.
yeah, no, you're good. I
Okay.
was thinking of that.
All right. For the on-call coaches side, what do you cost per minute of video if a player wants to send you a video to review? How long do you think a video should be after you've got experience with coaching, and what do you think is the right amount of time for one of those videos so that players can start sending you videos and getting your insight from your playing and coaching career?
I want to say my rate is set at like $4 a minute. Um, I would answer that by saying it depends on what we're looking at.
Yeah.
If we're looking at gameplay, you're gonna want, I would say, at least 2 or 3 minutes worth of gameplay. But if we're just kind of talking like a skills development, like if you want to send me a video of you shooting or stick handling, you can send me a 1 minute video, like tops, and I should be able to look at that and help diagnose like any issues or any like tips to kind of help you take it off a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, on that gameplay side, getting the play to develop to show that so you can watch it, and with the skills side, getting a couple different camera angles has been very helpful too on the skills side. Where if you're stick handling, shoot from one side, shoot from the front, shoot from the other, so that you can see all those and break those down for the player.
All right, Saito. Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate you joining. Oh,
shots.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you should be able to rip enough shots in less than a minute for any coach to really
Yeah, right. Be able to coach
You
from
can
there.
kinda be like,
Yep.
oh,
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining us today. It's been fun. You're our fourth guest, right, Coach?
Yep.
Fourth guest. And
oh, dang.
yeah, heck yeah.
Yep.
I'm Coach Alex. I'm here.
I'm Coach Zane.
We'll see you next week.